Hi everyone, this is Neel Raithatha, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for joining me in my latest video. We have here a patient who's actually wax-free, but they presented with extremely itchy ears, and that's as a result of their otitis externa, which otitis externa is an umbrella term given to an infection or inflammation of the outer ear. And this patient suffers from chronic otitis externa, where they have to have their ears cleaned every year or so. So it's a perennial event. So when we say clean, we actually mean peeling away of this dead skin. So all this skin that I'm peeling away is keratinous epidermal skin that has failed to migrate out of the ear. For the majority of this, when our ears reproduce new skin, the old outer layer of skin dies and it sheds and it moves sideways out of the ear like a conveyor belt. So the ear actually self-cleanses itself of dead skin. If it didn't do that, then there's always a risk of our ears getting blocked with an epidermal plug, so a keratin plug. So although this patient's ears are not blocked, and that's because we are ourselves cleaning it on a regular basis for them, there's no plug here, but the skin has just failed to migrate, and it's quite a thick blanket of skin, and underneath that you can see a healthy ear canal. So this is quite a superficial otitis externa. It's not deep otitis externa. It's not affecting the dermis or the subcutaneous layer. It's just this outer epidermis layer. And you can just imagine how itchy and irritable this must be for the patient. And just at the entrance, and this is in the case of both ears, there's also a bit of otorrhea, a bit of discharge. So there's obviously a form of by the bacterial fungi there as well, just at the entrance. So we have referred this patient to their GP to get some medication prescribed. The key thing for this patient is to avoid scratching and poking inside the ears, which is very much easier said than done. When you've got an itch, there's this undesirable need to scratch and itch it. But by doing so, it's just going to exacerbate this patient's symptoms. So when you scratch the outer layer of skin in your ear, or in any part of the body, truth be told, that epidermis layer is a protective layer. So the epidermis layer is the outermost layer of skin. In the case of the ear, the outer third of the ear canal contains the epidermis. Then you've got the dermis layer, which is all the elastin and collagen is found. And then you've got the subcutaneous layer, which is the deepest layer of skin. And that contains insulating fat and connective tissue. And in total, those three layers of skin are around 1 millimeter in thickness. The inner 2/3, interestingly, of the ear only contains the outer epidermis layer. It hasn't got the dermis or insulating subcutaneous layer. So the inner 2/3 of the ear canal, the skin is very, very thin and delicate, less than 0.1 millimeter in thickness. So that in particular is very a sensitive part of the ear. But when you cause trauma or abrasions to the epidermis layer of skin, it allows bacteria and fungi to penetrate, in the case of the outer third of the ear canal, to the inner dermis and subcutaneous layer. In the case of the bony part, you're exposing the underlying bone, which can then lead to periosteitis, which is an infection of the periosteum, which is a thin sheath that sits directly on the bone. So it's sandwiched in between this epidermis layer skin and the bone, and the periosteum provides the bone all the necessary blood supply and nutrients and oxygen in order for that bone to sustain life. In the absence of that periosteum, that bone, it doesn't receive the vascular supply that it needs, and it can then begin to necrotize, so it can start decaying and dying away, and then eventually separating. So we call that sequestrium. So we don't want this patient scratching their ear. Sometimes acetic acid spray, we can get it over the counter in the UK, can help obviate the need for someone to scratch and poke around in the ear. So whenever you've got an itch, you can revert to that. Some medical grade olive oil spray can help moisturize the skin, so if the skin's very dry. That can also help. But prevent water from getting into your ears, guys, because what this water will do, it'll wash away any natural oils you have that are secreted by the ears. Our ears do secrete natural oils and sweat, just like our scalp does. And these natural oils, and sweats. There's a combination of sebum, which is made up of organic compounds such as alcohol, squalenes, cholesterols, long chains of saturated and unsaturated fatty acids, and serum, which is an oily sweat, also found under our armpit and a groin area. These oils and sweats help lubricate and moisturize the skin, so it sits on the skin. But when you get water in your ear, it washes away these natural oils and sweat, so the underlying skin is then exposed to the environment, which then means moisture contained within the skin cells rises to the surface and it evaporates. But sebum and serum sitting on the skin prevents that because it's hydrophobic. It helps the skin retain its internal moisture, and it also does repel a fair amount of external water. But if this water is warm in particular, it can leach away these oils and sweats, and if there's just too much water and it's waterlogged, eventually it will break through this hydrophobic layer, because the underlying skin is also hydrophilic. It's water loving. It tracks water, and then these skin cells can absorb excessive water, so they overhydrate, and these skin cells then swell and burst at the membranes. You can get a maceration of the skin, so several things can happen. But yeah, water can exacerbate itchiness in the ear. So I know sometimes you may think, oh, you've got a dry ear, let's get some water in there to rehydrate it. But actually, you're achieving the opposite. You're going to dehydrate the ear because you're going to wash away those natural oils and sweats. The skin then gets exposed, and then its moisture gets evaporated. It rises to the surface, whereas the oils keep it at bay, and then you get an itchy ear. So avoid poking and scratching the ear if you can. Acetic acid can help. So in the UK, you can get dedicated sprays. There is also a spray, a drop should I say, that we sell on our Clearwax website. Just to the UK, the URL's the bottom right of this video. If you visit the public shop, there's a drops called Clear Relief Drops. So Clear Relief Drops. It contains a topical anaesthetic lidocaine. So dentists quite often use lidocaine when they're numbing your teeth. So that can have a numbing effect in your ear. So if you have got a real bad itch, it helps to kind of almost numb it. It's short term, it's not permanent, but it can really help if you're going through a really itchy phase. And it also contains glycerin or glycerol. So what that does, if you have got water in your ear, it tracks and homogenizes it, binds with individual water molecules, and it becomes kind of a one solution when it homogenizes. So it basically absorbs excess moisture. So if you've got inflammation in the ear as well, it can help reduce inflammation. But glycerol also is quite oily as well, so it helps to lubricate the skin at the same time. So you may wish to try that. So really tugging away at the skin, you can see it going up and down, up and down. We're not going to get every last shred, and when we go to the eardrum, we're going to be really careful because you will get separation of the skin. It tears away near the eardrum, so we're trying to get the majority out here. This skin is going to come back for the patient. It's a chronic condition because the skin's just failing to migrate. Now, just the other day, I actually accidentally burnt myself. I held a bit of a hot pan, and a week or so later, during the healing process, so yeah, I think it was a couple of weeks, I think actually, when I held this hot pan, and about a week afterwards, it's beginning to heal, but there's some of the skin in that area, just like in this patient's ear, this outer layer of skin, it began to separate, and I had to peel it away. It wasn't coming away by itself like as it usually would. So it was attached, and to peel it away, and that's a similar thing, but obviously this patient's ear wasn't burnt, but more to do with this skin that I'm peeling, how it looks. I had a similar looking skin on the tip of my fingers, which I had to manually peel away. I'm just trying to lift this up. It's very, very close to the eardrum. So we've got the majority away. There's a lot of dead skin here posteriorly now in the back section of the ear canal. And what I've done, I've angled, you may not be able to fully see on the video, but the tip of the fine end I've angled it, and I've inserted it in such a way where the angulation is going away from the back part of the ear canal towards the eardrum, which is then allowing me to come a bit closer to the canal wall, and minimizing any abrasions, because I'm almost trying to glide. I'm using the angle of the canal wall, and on top of that I'm trying to mimic the angle of the fine end, so when I'm going peeling away, it's almost gliding against the back part of the ear canal, as opposed to poking against it. So that still we want to minimize the contact, because even gliding against the bony part of the ear canal, it can be quite uncomfortable. And I know that firsthand, guys, and that's probably why when you watch the videos I'm ultra cautious, because I've experienced firsthand how painful your ears can be when contact is made against the cotton buds. And it is, my mother actually, growing up, she used to use cotton buds, and it's very common in our Asian culture. And I still remember vividly in my left ear, she went a bit deep and poked the bony part, and it was so uncomfortable. And that ear's always remained a bit sensitive since. But even now when I'm thinking about it, it feels a bit sensitive now. So I know firsthand how uncomfortable it can be, so I've got that appreciation for it. So you can see here, the skin's quite macerated here. It's a bit wet and damp. I managed to get a good piece here to start peeling. Now this skin is not going to self-migrate, it's just going to collect in the ear. If left untreated, probably eventually, if you've got multiple layers of skin, and we're talking, it's going to take years, if I'm truth be told, but can then form into a plug. So I think this patient came a year ago, so as long as we clean this every year, or whenever they feel necessary, when it's really itchy, and whenever we do peel it away, it's a massive relief. Straight after the procedure, they feel a bit itchy, because of course we're in their ear peeling this away, but once that settles, it really does make a big difference to this patient. It's just a tailing end of some skin there as I flaked away. So again, I'm going to see if I can get that. If I can't, fine. It's just not possible to get a really little less piece without potentially causing trauma. If it's patient's asleep, then yeah, we can basically do what we want to a certain extent. We can graze against the ear canal because they won't feel it whilst they're asleep. When they wake up, it might be a bit bruised though, so they may feel it afterwards. So here, very gentle. I've switched the fine end in the opposite direction, so the angulation is going away now. So I've managed to get a piece here. There is some skin there still, but that's not going to come away. But I'm going to try and peel this away. Again, the skin might look quite thick, but in reality it's extremely thin. It's just the magnification we're working at. So probably things are magnified by, say, maybe 3 or 4 times when you're watching this video. But the ear itself is a very small orifice. It's very little room for manoeuvre in the ear. So I'm just mopping up near the entrance here. Just clearing some of the entrance. So some hairs here. So it's the first bend really in the entrance where you see the majority of these hairs. So not only do these hairs, they're at the follicle, you've got the sebaceous glands attached. So the sebaceous glands secrete sebum, which travels up the shaft, the root of the hair to the entrance, to the surface of the ear canal. But also they act as a filtration of air and that may enter your ear, so it helps to capture, almost like, again, like a spider's web, any foreign debris, dust, dirt, pollen. So it has got a protective mechanism there, so a bit of hairs is actually good for us at the entrance. Excessive hairs, obviously, not so much, because they can mat against the wax and prevent it from migrating fully. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Take care, keep well, and speak soon. Bye.